You ever find yourself saying that? I forgive you, but I'll never forget. It's a phrase we all know, right? But what is really going on in our heads when we feel that way? Well, today we're going to dive deep into the psychology behind why you can forgive someone, but the memory of what they did stays so clear. So, really, why is it so hard to just forget? If you've ever beaten yourself up over this, I'm here to tell you you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not some kind of character flaw. It's actually a fundamental part of how our brains are wired to keep us safe.
You see, this internal tug-of-war, it's not just some popular saying. It is a genuine, deep-seated psychological process. It's that knot you get in your stomach when you really want to move on, but some part of you just refuses to let go. So, let's unpack this paradox and figure out what's really happening under the hood.
Okay, let's switch gears from the feeling to the science behind it. The reason we hang on to these painful memories, it has nothing to do with holding a grudge. It's actually a built-in feature of your brain. Think of it like a safety switch, and its one and only job is to protect you. It's an evolutionary software update that's been running for thousands of years.
Now, the technical term for this whole process is emotional conditioning. What's happening is your brain is creating a kind of blueprint. It links the memory of that pain directly to a person or a situation to make sure you don't get burned the exact same way again. It's like this super fast calculation that just screams, "Warning, potential threat detected based on past data."
So here's the absolute biggest takeaway. We have to reframe how we think about this. That memory that just won't go away, that's not you being petty or holding on to things. It's a powerful, finely tuned survival instinct hard at work. It's just your brain doing its job.
And you know what? This survival instinct doesn't look the same for everybody. It shows up in really different ways, and it creates these distinct patterns of behavior. We can actually understand these patterns through 4 common archetypes. Let's dig into the first one.
First up, we have the betrayed soul. This person is defined by a deep, really formative experience of being let down, a betrayal that kind of shapes their entire approach to relationships from that point on. It basically becomes the lens through which they see the world. The source material uses this incredibly powerful phrase, festering wounds. Wow, that just captures it perfectly, doesn't it? For the betrayed soul, the pain isn't just a memory. It's an active, unhealed injury that they are constantly protecting. So for someone like this, forgiving might be possible on some level, but forgetting? Absolutely out of the question. Their memory is basically a permanent shield, filtering every single interaction through that past pain, always on high alert to avoid being hurt in that same devastating way again.
Okay, next we meet a totally different type, the logical record keeper. This person's approach is way less about the emotional sting and much more about cold, hard data. They're like the analysts of trust, turning relationships into a series of data points.
I mean, they have an incredible radar for when things don't add up. The source describes them as people who can spot lies in milliseconds. And when they catch one, that little data point doesn't just fade away. Oh no, it gets filed, indexed, and stored away for future reference.
This archetype is all about pattern recognition. They remember exactly what you said last month, and they are constantly calculating the risk you represent. For them, memory isn't a wound, it's evidence in an ongoing investigation. All right, let's move on to our third archetype, the boundaried healer. Now this one is fascinating because it's full of what seem like contradictions. These people can be incredibly supportive, so generous, but their inner core is protected by these impenetrable walls.
This quote really gets to the heart of it. They're described as those who support without expecting, but keep their inner circle locked. They might literally give you this shirt off their back, but that doesn't mean they're going to let you into their home. There's a really clear line between their generosity and their vulnerability.
The key idea here is the inner sanctum. The boundaried healer has learned from past hurts that trust has to come in tears. They can forgive you, they can even keep you in their life, but you might be permanently moved to an outer circle. For them, forgiveness does not mean you get full access again.
And finally, we have the cautious observer. This archetype is defined by patience, by watchfulness, and by a show-me, don't-tell-me attitude when it comes to rebuilding trust. They operate on the currency of consistent action, not just apologies.
What's so interesting here is this idea of an internal test. When you've broken their trust, forgiveness doesn't mean a clean slate. Not at all. It means you've just been placed on probation, and the observation period has officially begun. A cautious observer's memory is kind of like a running scorecard. They are watching for consistency over a long period of time. They'll forgive your mistake, sure, but they will not forget what you did, and you can bet they'll be watching very, very closely to see if that pattern repeats itself. Okay, so we've met all 4 archetypes: the betrayed soul, the logical record keeper, the boundaried healer, and the cautious observer. And this isn't just some fun personality quiz. It's a really powerful tool for self-awareness and for empathy.
So here's a quick summary of what drives each one. The betrayed soul is trying to avoid being re-injured. The record keeper is trying to mitigate risk. The healer's goal is to protect their inner core, and the observer needs to verify change. Now, most of us are probably a mix of these, but we often have one dominant style, especially when we're under stress.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. Just recognizing these patterns in ourselves and in other people, that's the first huge step toward better communication. Forgiving is a choice you make for your own peace, but remembering is a mandate from your brain for protection. So the real question isn't whether you should forget, it's what do you do with the memory?